Hello, dear students. This is Sushma Singh, and I welcome you all to today's session, wherein I'm going to give you the detailed analysis of the second poem from Flamingo book. The name of this profound poem is An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, composed by Stephen Spender, an English poet. Now, before moving on to the in-depth explanation of this wonderful poem, let me tell you first what makes this poem highly relevant to us in India, even today. It is because the challenges and the obstacles which the poet has addressed in this poem are still very applicable in present India. Before moving on to the summary, let me give you the overview of this profound poem. An elementary school classroom in a slum is a hard-hitting poem which questions the socio-economic setup that dictates the way in which the childhood and education of countless children of the poor are affected. In this poem, the poet is voicing an earnest appeal for political will and collective effort to shape the children's life for the better. This poem is indeed an eye-opener for us, and hopefully it can inspire us to do something to change the sorry state of these unfortunate children. Considering the tone of the poem, we find that the poet has adopted a rather serious and hopeless tone in the beginning, and the poetic voice verses on anger and frustration before voicing an earnest appeal. And this is mainly because the poet is trying to express a rather serious problem that is affecting the society at large. And as regards the style of the poem, we can say that it is written in free verse. The most important theme of the poem is that it deals with the paradox of teaching elementary school children in a slum. The poet strongly believes that one cannot teach children who are poor and hungry. It is only after the policy makers have addressed the problems like malnourishment and inherited diseases that we can hope to provide an education that is empowering in true sense. The poem also deals with social injustice and class inequality. It exposes the widespread neglect of these children who are uncared for like rootless weeds. Poverty is a glaring problem in today's world, and it needs to be tackled before anything can be done for the development and empowerment of the society. Through this poem, the poet expresses his outrage at the insensitive attitude of the rich and the privileged class towards these unfortunate children of the slum. Let's now start the line-by-line explanation of each stanza. The first stanza gives a vivid description of students in an elementary school classroom in a slum, and this reflects nothing but the extreme poverty, lack of energy, enthusiasm, vigor, and liveliness. Far, far from gusty waves. In order to explain this line, the poet has brilliantly used metaphor in order to refer to the lively and energetic aspects of a child's life which is lacking in the students of an elementary school in a slum. They are not enthusiastic, they have no vigor, and they are not even carefree and fun-loving because their world is far removed from the open and healthy environment. Here also the poet has used a simile to support the fact that the slum children, just like weeds, are withered, worn out, as well as unwanted. The society views these children with such a perception. They are rootless, as where they have come from is uncertain. That is, their parentage is not clear, and they do not have any well defined social security as well as support system to help them grow in one place. Let me now give you the explanation of some other important lines from stanza 1. The line hair torn round the parlor indicates their deprived and undernourished conditions. The tall girl is stressed by the burden with abject poverty, inferiority complex, depression, and responsibilities. She is indeed exhausted both physically and emotionally. The paper-thin boy with rat's eyes. Here, a brilliant metaphor is used by the poet to describe the unfortunate kid who is skinny because of malnutrition and poor upbringing. His rat's eyes depict nothing but hunger, restlessness, and defensiveness. His eyes are always searching for food and security, like the eyes of rats are. Their condition is as miserable as that of rats that live in the darkness of their burrows. Now, another student with deformed bones is described in here in this stanza. He is actually the victim of a genetic disorder and he's trapped in a physically challenged body. He can't even get up from the desk to recite his lesson. These unfortunate children in an elementary school in a slum, through their body, are reciting that they have inherited neither money nor legacy from their parents, but only disease and bad luck. The sole exception in the classroom, however, is the unnoticed, sweet young boy who is sitting at the back of the gym class. He is exceptionally unique. Why? Because his eyes have a dream for a bright future. He is dreaming of escaping out in the open and playing like a squirrel in the lap of nature, rather than sitting in a small, dim, and dingy classroom. The pathetic environment of the classroom has not touched him yet because he is too young to understand or feel the effects of poverty he has been born into. Considering at the level of the deeper meanings of lines of second stanza, we can surely see that the classroom walls are dirty, yellow in color like sour cream, and dim because it is neither well lit nor ventilated. This reflects not only the utter state of neglect that the classroom has fallen into, but also the unhappiness, decay, bitterness and dullness in the lives of these children. The walls are decorated with the donated picture of Shakespeare, the very symbol of learning, a scene depicting cloudless sky, and civilized dooms representing man's achievement in the field of architects. Even a world map and a picture of beautiful valleys, which is the symbol of beauty and freshness, which again the slum children are deprived of. These donations may offer a glimpse of a beautiful and prosperous world, which is meaningless to these children. Because the world that is depicted on the classroom walls are just a world these children can aspire but can't achieve. This version of world does not match the world they actually live in. Now, the rich, the conquerors and the dictators have actually changed the map of the world. They have drawn an open-handed map according to their own will, irrespective of harsh realities. This roughly made map shows two different worlds, one of sulphurous and another of deprivation. However, this map which depicts only the world that comprised civilized cities, bells, flowers and beauty of nature is of no use to these unfortunate children because their world is the world of poverty-stricken slum dwellers. The map does not provide an honest portrayal of the real world. This honest portrayal is instead presented by the window of the classroom through which the children can view the day-to-day hardship and the pathetic conditions they live in. It has narrow lanes small congested houses and dim classrooms. Now, with the help of metaphors like future painted with fog, narrow street, sealed with a lead sky, the poet describes that poverty and lack of true education have made their future dark, hopeless, limited, and uncertain. Their options in lives are limited and covered with dismay, just like the view through these windows. That is, a narrow street sealed by a gloomy sky. They are miles away from the romantic images of rivers, mountains, and the seas that indicate the adventure and abounding in nature's bounties. They are also far away from the scenes created by the stars of worlds, that is, education, that can empower their future. They should be allowed to join the mainstream so that they live a life like other children. They should have equal opportunities for education. Reading between the lines will help us to get the deeper meaning of the poem. Here are a few important lines from the third stanza. The poet calls Shakespeare wicked because this literary icon who stands for the ultimate in learning and in comprehending humans' nature fails to empower them to achieve that standard. His study seems irrelevant to these slum children because their reality is far removed from the literary world of Shakespeare. So he is called wicked and fraud by the poet. The poet also says that the maps on the classroom walls are bad examples because they serve only to increase their frustration. These maps are actually symbols of discrimination. They don't include their world of narrow and dirty lanes of the slum, but show them a beautiful world of rivers, mountains, and valleys, which is inaccessible to them in their lifetime. So the maps have a corrupting influence on these children because they tempt them to desire things which are beyond their limits, and they commit crimes in order to escape from the cramped holes and experience the world of the rich with all its glory. Now the poet says that these children's life are confined to the narrow holes of the slum, which is just like a hell. Even their faith conspired them to be imprisoned into a life of misery and unhappiness. Now the line from fog to endless night, a very important line from third stanza, refers to the extent of the gloom that forms an absolute part of the lives of the children of the slums. That is, they live lives of uncertainty and suffering from morning to night, and their condition turns from bad to worse. The poet goes on to describe the sorry state of these unfortunate children. They are compared to slag heap as they are useless and worthless like slag heaps, or it indicates that the children live in the midst of filth and abject poverty. The children are so skinny that their bones appear to be peeping out of their skin. They wear broken, overused, and mended spectacles of steel. Their entire appearance speaks nothing but lack of bare essential. The faces of these children are like stone, hardened by their circumstances. The poet here means that their outlook on life has also hardened because of the life's ruthlessness. He also points out here that the school is not serving any purpose for them. It leaves these children just as hopeless and full of despair as they were before. And there seems to be a bleak future for these children. Their future is blotted by fog and spells doom for them, since their entire time and space is spent within this dirty, unhealthy, and foggy slum. This slum stains the map of the civilized world. Now, student, this is very symbolic of the fact that the poet wants that beautiful places, which is the world of rich and powerful, also to be marred by these dirty slums in order to make them realize the plight of slum dwellers. The line, This map becomes their window, illustrates the poet's wish. He wishes these maps on the classroom walls to become their vision and give them opportunities to develop. Only the joint effort of the men in power can make these maps the window to a cleaner and greener world for these unfortunate children. The slum where these children live is an enclosed space like an internal part of a grave that is dark and suffocating. Their lives as well as their aims all are in dark. The children are denied the bounties of the world beyond their slum. So the poet wants all the barriers and the filthy surroundings that have blocked their progress and growth to be pulled down. He wants them to get rid of their dismal lives. Once these dark catacombs are broken open, their world will extend to the blue sky and waves rising above the gold sands. He wishes the slum children to be exposed to the world of knowledge that is greenfield here. Let the pages of wisdom be open for them, and their tongues may run freely on the white leaves of books, so that they will gain the ease and facility to read and learn and get educated in true sense. Only then they can break themselves free from the confines of the slum. The concluding line of this profound poem reveals that if children in slum are given quality education, then this access to education will broaden their outlook, liberate the children truly from the shackles and the boundaries imposed by the rich and powerful people, and this will also empower them to create their own history. They will acquire freedom of expression. Using a metaphor, the poet wants to convey that history belongs to those people whose language, ideas, and views have the strength and brightness of the sun. As the sun gives warmth and empowers the earth, these children can change their destiny and create history if they receive true education that empowers their lives. Those who create history are people whose ideas and language can motivate, move, inspire, and influence millions of people. To lend deeper meaning to this beautiful poem, the poet has used various literary elements. And in this line, students, you will get all the poetic devices that have been used in this poem with explanations and examples. Note them down so that you can keep revising even later on. I am extremely hopeful that you all must have got the in-depth explanation of this poem. These questions will help you to check your comprehension. So without fail, give an attempt to solve them and deepen your understanding. Keep watching to get the detailed analysis of other poems too. And yes, my dear students, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.